Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Tonight, we're joined by New York Jets legend and owner of 74 Barbecue, Nick Mangold. Nick, welcome to The Right View. Thanks for joining us. You know, we were talking just before the show about a whole host of things, but barbecue, how you got started in it, how it sort of went. Give me a bit of the play-by-play of that, so to speak. You see what I did there? Play-by-play. Sports guy, I know you got it. I love that you got into barbecue. How did it go? What happened?
So this was something that I had been doing for years, making my own barbecue sauce. And it was 2019. I was talking to my partner and said, hey, it would be a lot of fun to sell this barbecue sauce because I think it's good. My family thinks it's good. And it'd be a neat project. So we started in 2019, the planning, which I've been buying barbecue sauce forever. And you walk down that aisle in the grocery store and you see all these bottles.
Yeah.
And the amount of decisions and effort that went into each one of those bottles, I had no idea. I have a much greater appreciation now for all the sauces out there. And it was one of those things where we were going along great, and then our first line of production popped off on March 23rd, 2020.
Wow.
And
just in time for all of it.
Just in time. And so being here in New Jersey, with things being slowed down a bit, it was a little difficult to get it out to people. And you can only sell so much barbecue sauce virtually. You need to get it in front of people. So we kind of took that as like our trial run. And we've since gotten more into it. I have two sauces. I have the OG and then the spicy. And they're kind of a play on my two boys. I have 4 kids. So my two boys, one is the OG and the next one is a copy of the OG, but a lot spicier. He's the firecracker. And so I'm trying to get 2 more out for my girls. So that way I have 4 sauces total. I'm just struggling with the honey barbecue one for my one daughter. It's too sweet, but
oh my God, I love it.
It's really cool. It gives me something to do. Allows me to share it with people because it is a fantastic sauce. And I like bringing people happiness, and I think it does that. And it also has a charitable component to it. We donate a portion of the proceeds to Answer the Call. It's a charity that's near and dear to my heart. It's located here in New York City. And that charity helps out families of fallen first responders on the job. So firefighters,
Wow.
policemen, Port Authority. And so they just celebrated their 10th gala like 2 weeks ago that we were able to attend. And it's really heartwarming to know that a portion of the proceeds goes to help that cause, because you talk to some of the widows and widowers and what they've gone through. And, especially being here in New York City, you have people that have died in 9/11 and other tragedies. So hearing those stories kind of gives me a little bit more gusto to try to get the sauce out to as many people as possible so we can donate as much money as possible because they do some really good stuff.
I mean, that's so great. First of all, you're a very charitable guy, Nick. I have known, obviously, people know you from the Jets. I think you probably rose to fame for a lot of people, and they probably recognize your name from your days playing football. But back, gosh, I'm going to say like 10 years ago, maybe even, I remember you being very willing to lend your name, lend anything you could to help. And you were helping us at the Lara Trump Foundation raise money for kids with cancer, for the kids of St. Jude Children's Hospital. And I want to say thank you on behalf of me and Eric and the whole organization, because it was really cool to see that, you were willing to put yourself out there, and you realized, I think, a lot of people maybe don't do this, but I think, kind of felt like I could give back in some way, and you did, and you continue to do that. And I think that's so cool. And I think what a great role model for our, kids coming up to see someone like you. So I want to say thank you for doing that, because you really made a difference for us. You're continuing to make a difference, obviously, with the barbecue sauce and being able to donate to, like you said, the widows of fallen first responders. Very, very cool. And so I've always had just a great respect for you on a personal level, for the fact that you've always always done that. But I got to hear a little bit more about your kids. You got 4 kids, like you just said. You have the 2 sauces right now named after your boys. You got the 2 girls. What are the ages of your kids?
So it goes boy, girl,
Wow.
exactly how we planned it. And there are 12, 8, 7, and 4.
Oh my gosh, you got a lot going on. I hope you did a big thing for Mother's Day, because man, that's a lot, Nick. I got to tell you.
We did, and it happens that my wife's birthday is May 14th.
Oh wow!
Which this year fell on Mother's Day, so we
no
blew
pressure
it out
on
for
you, dude. You had, I mean,
no
very
pressure.
easy. Wow.
Yeah, we had a good weekend. I think she really enjoyed herself, and definitely deserved, because this house is wild and crazy, and it's a good thing though. I mean, they're a lot of fun, and it's been neat seeing them grow up and transition. Like my oldest still remembers me playing, but the younger 2 have no idea. But they also know like that Daddy's associated with the Jets, and so like the one day my daughter, after her ballet class, she gets a little treat, like a little donut or a cookie, because there's a bakery right next to it. And she brought home a green donut for me, because she was like, "Oh, Daddy likes green." And
that's
so it's
so
just
cute.
Like, it's funny. Like, I mean, this was a year ago, I think. So she was only 3. So she associates me with the Jets, even though she has no idea anything that I did.
She will one day. So I'll tell you, my dad was a linebacker at Purdue. I know you went to Ohio State. So, I mean, I hope we could still be friends and we're not going to cut
Big
this
10.
all off.
Yeah, Big Ten's good.
We'll keep it in the family. Yeah. And growing up, I just thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, I mean, I'm going to be a linebacker too. Like, this is great. I grew up loving football. And the more I learned about, my dad playing and all this stuff, the cooler I thought it was. And I'm sure all of your kids one day will do the same thing. Does your oldest have any aspirations to play? Or, I mean, any of your kids, are they athletic? What do we think is going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, we force them into athletics because I think it's good for them.
Totally.
And they want to anyway, so it helps out. So, yeah, my oldest does play football. He does football in the fall, basketball in the winter, and lacrosse in the spring. We try to keep him rotating. He loves it, loves football. My daughter, she does ballet and basketball and dance, tap, gymnastics. So she stays busy. My little guy, he's chomping at the bit. He's tired, so he's 7. And he's going into 2nd grade next year, and he's like, I've had enough of flag football. I don't want to play flag football anymore.
Wow.
I need to hit somebody. I was like, all right, buddy, you're good. And then my youngest daughter, I mean, she's still trying to figure it out. She does her ballet. She really enjoys soccer, so we're going to see what we can do with that. So it's neat seeing them compete. It's a little difficult being a parent during the football season, because I kind of want to control it and be like, I know more than you. But then when it gets to lacrosse, I didn't have lacrosse growing up in Ohio. Never heard of it. Didn't find out until we moved out to the East Coast. And I would have loved it. I think it's a fun game. So like being able to have those 2 separate sides, like, all right, football, I feel anxious and like, I feel like I could be helping out more. And then lacrosse, I just sit back and watch. Like, it's a lot of fun.
What's it like for the football coaches having Nick Mangold over there being like, I feel like we're doing, do you feel like you make them nervous?
It depends. Like, so every year it's a different set of coaches. So some coaches have been very receptive. Like, hey, Nick, if you want to help out, like, more than welcome to have you. Like, you do whatever you want. And then other coaches are like, no, like, we're good. I'm like, really? Like, wow. I feel like I know a couple of things. I think 11 years was probably a pretty good career. So, so it's weird. I don't know. Football guys, like, sometimes it's an ego thing. Sometimes it's stuck in their ways. Sometimes, like, people, when you get a bunch of dads together, they just want to have a good time. So it's all over the map.
Well, I'll tell you my experience with coaching, and I'll put it in air quotes, Nick, because I mean, it was kind of a sad show. I remember when my dad, by the way, coached my brother's soccer team for a season. It was like a complete disaster. My brother and I were like, I know my brother was embarrassed. My dad had like very high standards for these kids, and a kid would talk back and my dad would get upset about it. We were like, oh my God. So now I find myself on the other end of that. My kids are close enough in age that they're actually on the same soccer team.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, a couple of times. I mean, we're talking, this is like very basic stuff. They're 3 and 5. So like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We don't even like really have official goalies or anything. The kids are just running around the field. But a couple of games, the coach was not available to come. So we had to have parent volunteers. And I'll tell you, I got out on the field and my son is like, what are you doing out here? Why are you telling Wilson what to do? I'm like, dude, I'm standing in as the coach today. And he's like, what? It was a big problem for him. So I hope your kids are a little more receptive to
No,
you.
it is weird because like when the parent, like as a parent trying to coach your kid, I feel like they're very standoffish. But then if you get somebody else coaching the kid, they're like, they want to suck it all in. I'm like, I'm telling you the same thing.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't understand why you're not listening to me. And like, well, I have to listen to you at home, so I don't want to listen to you here. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
It's
as
amazing.
long as you get the job done.
But this is all how it goes when you're a parent. Before you were a kind of a big time football player, you played a lot of sports. I read growing up, right? What did you do?
So it was the same as we're trying to do with our kids. My mom's rule was always a new season, new sport. And so there was never like a club soccer, club baseball where you play year round. So I played football in the falls. I played basketball up till 7th grade when I realized I couldn't play basketball. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't dribble. I couldn't pass the ball. The only thing I could do was foul and rebound. So I was like, all right, I think I'm done with that. So then I started wrestling. Did that through high school. And then the spring was always baseball up until the kids learned how to throw a curveball. And then I went to track and field because I couldn't hit a curveball. And then we swam in the summer.
Wow.
And so that was my usual rotation growing up.
I love it. And you know what? It's the same thing. I feel like we're on the same page here. I just want my kids busy all the time. I want them out of the house. I want them doing stuff because I grew up that way too. And I feel like because of that, my brother and we never got into trouble. We were really good kids. Today, I feel like there's so much you have to worry about as a parent. And so for you to find something that maybe is like your kid's niche, right? That your child, whatever it is, maybe it's sports, maybe it's music, maybe it's something else, but something that they can hone in on and focus on. To me, I think that's the greatest thing possible. It's going to keep them out of trouble. It's going to give them something to work towards and achieve. So I'm all about that. And I love that that's how you grew up. I love that that's how you're raising your kids. It's how Eric and I are raising our kids. I'll report back in like 15 years and let you know how it all turned out, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But it seems like it worked out for you. Tell me about, Ohio State. Tell me about becoming part of the Jets. How was that whole journey? Was that something that you saw when you were in high school? You were like, oh, I could be, a professional football player one day?
No, it was crazy going through high school. It led up to being able to be recruited. And it was funny, like as I was getting recruited, the schools would send out a questionnaire that you would fill out and kind of put it on the radar. Now with social media and YouTube and everything, recruiting is all different. But back then it was just you fill out the questionnaire, you're on the radar, and then they keep track of you. And when it came time that I was getting all these letters and everything, but I wasn't getting any scholarship offers. I was like, well, all right, this was fun. Football is getting, and finally I got an offer from Ohio State and I got an offer from Notre Dame. And so then it was deciding, all right, which way do I go? My mom wanted me to go to Notre Dame. Dad wanted me to go to Ohio State. I always grew up loving Ohio State, so it was a pretty quick decision. And then going through Ohio State, which was a blast, it was a little tricky because we won the national championship my freshman year. So I kind of felt like, all right, well, we just do that every year, right?
It's very easy.
Then realized that that's not how it works. But had a great time, loved it. And as I was going through, like my freshman year, I had no idea. My head was spinning. Then the sophomore year, I was starting, and I was like, all right, I feel like I'm getting the hang of this. This is pretty cool. And then it was after my junior year where guys I was either playing with or playing against were starting to get drafted. And I was like, well, maybe like if I'm playing against them, like maybe I can get drafted, and like kind of fingers crossed thing. So I went through my senior year, was lucky enough to have a good showings at the Senior Bowl, and then the combine. And when I first came out, I was projected as a 3rd-round pick, but because I was able to do well at those 2 events, snuck into the 1st round. And then, being with the Jets, like I had no idea, because like, you don't know. I was just sitting on my couch. Like, I don't know what of the 32 teams are going to call. And so had the opportunity, never once was New York on my radar. But to have the opportunity to come up here, and be a part of the Jets, but then also be a part of New York City, has been awesome. Like, I think my wife and I really embraced the area, really took it in. And I mean, you couldn't call New York City a better spot to land in, and do well in, and because now opportunities are endless.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I love that, and I love that it seems like, gosh, it really worked out for you there. You were a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team All-Pro, key part of, I mean, really the best Jets team in recent history. And just recently, you were added to the Jets Ring of Honor last September. I mean, having gone through sort of your time at Ohio State, like you're saying, being like, oh, well, maybe I can make it. But then getting, such an accolade like this, what did that mean to you to be added to that for the Jets?
It's kind of mind blowing. Growing up, you never once thought about it. And, you go along and, you're just trying to do the best that you can as you're playing, and I never really thought about like future stuff. And when it came time, it was announced and everything, and we were getting closer to the game in September where I was inducted. Somebody came up to me and like, "All right, what do you think?" And one of the reporters, "What do you think it means to you to know that your grandchildren are going to be able to go to, whether it's MetLife or whatever stadium the Jets are in at that point, and see their grandfather's name like up in the stadium?" I was like, my kids are tiny. I haven't even thought of grandkids. Like, I'm barely getting through these kids. So like the whole gravity of it never, like, that's when it first started to set in. Like, this is something that's, pretty permanent and something that's pretty special. And, I'm very proud of what I did on the field, and how I carried myself off the field, and to be recognized by the Jets organization in the stadium is something very special to me.
Wow. I mean, and well-deserved. I think it's awesome. To get back to the kids, and you're the oldest of 4 kids. Is that right? You have 3 siblings?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're the only sisters. Boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of your sisters is an Olympic weightlifter, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about the other sisters?
Yeah. Well, so it's actually humor. So so they're all 3 are younger. The oldest of the 3, she's got 2 kids. She lives in Philly with her husband, and is making a great life for herself. Then you have the second sister, who went and competed in 2012 Olympics in weightlifting.
Wow.
She also played football in high school. She was first girl, I think, ever to play in a state championship game.
What did she? Was she a kicker? What did she do?
No, she was a lineman.
Stop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She held her own too. So
Nick, I missed it. I missed my calling. I was sure I could be on that field somehow. Your sister showed me up. This is amazing. I didn't know that.
She did it. And then my baby sister, who's actually 16 years younger than me, she just recently graduated from the conservatory at the University of Cincinnati with her master's in music, and is now coming up to Connecticut to study to get her doctorate in music. So she is,
Very cool.
She's doing concerts and stuff, and all like the classical. She's a big trumpet. And so like it's always the joke, like, all right, well, we have an NFL player, we have an Olympic, we're going to have a doctor of music. And then there's like my oldest of the younger sisters, like, and here's my other sister.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, sounds like she's, let me tell you something, just being a mom is enough. A mom of one kid is a lot. Yeah.
The best part is like, she's the one that keeps everything together. So like she probably has the best role.
She has her big role, and she's, I mean, she's thriving. I love it. That's crazy. What an amazing family. I mean, what's the secret? Like you said, you guys were, I guess, just doing everything. What are the tips from the Mangolds for creating these incredible athletes? What can you tell us?
Just luck into it, I guess. And Miracle Grow, just taking straight Miracle Grow. I don't know. And that's the funny thing with my youngest sister. The other three of us have no musical bone in our body. Like, we can't keep rhythm or rhyme or anything. And yet here she is going to become a doctor for music. So I don't know. I have no idea. It's a wild
Wow.
phenomenon.
That is so crazy. Well, I think it's super cool. What a great family. And I mean, gosh, your kids have so much to look up to you, to their aunts, I mean, how awesome is that? There's got to be one like musician of some variety in every family. Did your parents play sports or were they musical or anything or?
They weren't musical. My mom did swim in college for a
Okay.
small D3 school. And so we assume that's where we get it from. But we have no idea. So we just kind of, just magical of
It
the
was the
little
Miracle
monkeys that
Grow.
they produce.
Yeah, there you
This is the
go.
Miracle Grow and corn from Ohio. That's what we
I love
figured.
it. Very cool. And it's cool that you guys are kind of all in proximity to one another. You have, in Philly, your sister's coming to Connecticut. Like that's very nice. Are your parents still in Ohio or where's the rest of the family?
My mom, she started doing, her job for the trucking company. She was able to do remotely before everything went crazy.
Wow.
And so she kind of had a leg up on that. So she actually just bounces around. She lives mostly in Virginia with my aunt, and my grandma. But then she goes to my sister in Philly. She goes back to Ohio with my other sister. She comes up here and helps out a lot, when
That's
we
the
need
best.
to. So
You don't get better than a grandmother. I'll tell you what, when my mom comes, my kids are over the moon about it and it's the greatest and nothing makes me feel better if Eric and I have to travel somewhere than knowing my mom is there with my kids because it's the greatest thing possible. I love it. So I think we're very lucky that both of our moms are involved and that's so cool. Like
yeah,
what a
and it's
great
neat.
thing.
It's great having that they don't watch them. Like my mom doesn't watch my kids full time or anything like that. She just gets to be grandma, and I think that's
Aw.
a cool opportunity, which I look forward to later in life. Is like I just want to be grandpa, because they get so excited when she comes, and like
Yeah.
it's more of a vacation for them than it is like us leaving. They're like, oh, this is great. Yeah, you guys get out of here. We get grandma. Like,
Bye.
bye.
Oh, it's so cool. Well, to get back to the barbecue sauce, I mean, obviously I got to taste some of this. I haven't gotten involved yet, but 74 barbecue, where can people find it? You said you now you have a new respect for all of it in the grocery store aisles, I'm sure. Where can we find your sauce?
So right now, the easiest and best way is just online at our website, 74bbq.com. That you can order straight from the website and it gets delivered to you. Since I'm based in New Jersey, we're working hard on the East Coast, and we're hoping we've got a good partnership with Ace Hardware that hopefully we'll be able to use soon. And we have some other avenues coming out, and so it's trying to get it into the stores. And that's what I found is the most difficult part of this whole process. I mean, coming up with the sauce was easy because I already made it. And that was, done in my kitchen. It wasn't like some sauce company was like, hey, let's throw your name on this and we'll do it. Like it's mine. So that part was easy. Label design was a little difficult, but actually getting it into the stores and getting it out to people and distribution has been the tricky part because no one's taking on small projects right now. With everything, with as difficult as things have gotten, especially coming out of COVID, the small time distributors just didn't feel like, all right, we have what works. We don't need to try something else. And so like that's been the biggest struggle is trying to get in a store. It's like I got it in a local deli here in my town. But that's just because I know the owner. I'm like, hey,
Right.
do you want to sell this? He's like, yeah, sure. Let me try it first. He tried it. And he's like, yeah, I love it. I'll put 2 cases. And I'm like, well, two cases isn't going to move the needle, but it is something. So that's kind of the tough part of it.
Yeah, well, listen, here's what I know is if you launched right as COVID was taking hold of our entire world and you're still doing it today in 2023, I mean, you got something good there. I feel like we're gonna get it there, and none of it's easy. I mean, this being an athlete, nothing that's easy is ever feels as good. You got to work for things, and obviously you're working hard on this. You got 2 sauces now. We're gonna have 2 more supposedly coming out, and I know they correlate with your children. Does this mean, Nick, you're not allowed to have a favorite sauce? Because we know you don't have a favorite kid, right? So
that has made it easier for me of not being like, anytime someone asks, well, which one's your favorite? I'm like, I can't because it's my kids. So that does make it easier. But I will say both of them are fantastic. I mean, it's tough because the original, the OG, was my first sauce. So like you kind of assume that's the favorite, but I can't ever say that.
No.
Then it's like, oh, well, no, he's your favorite. So, but it's a lot of fun. And it's such a good, I got a funny story for you. I was doing an interview with a sports radio in Houston, I think it is. And we were talking about sauce, and we were having a good time, having a bit of banter. It was at the Super Bowl, so it was Radio Row. There's just people everywhere, and we're sitting at the table. And they were asking me, like, all right, what kind of style is it? Like, is it Memphis? Is it Texas? Is it Carolina? Like, what kind of style? And I was like, well, I kind of took it from all kinds of different things. It's its own style. But you definitely know it's barbecue sauce. Like, there's no question, like, you're not going to confuse it with ketchup or mustard, but it has its own flavor profile. And I was like, and you know what? I live in New Jersey, so I'm going to say it's New Jersey style. Both those 2 guys, they lost it. They were like, don't you ever call it New Jersey style. You will never sell a single bottle.
Wow.
They were
sacrilege, Nick. How dare you?
They were so offended. I was like, well, I don't know. Try it, and you tell me. And so that was it. I got a good chuckle out of that one. So I've always stayed away from, like, all right, what style is it? I'm like, it's barbecue sauce that you've never tasted before.
Well, because people take their barbecue seriously. Look, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina, and when you say barbecue where I grew up, I'm thinking pulled pork barbecue, like pulled pork with a vinegar sauce.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I grew up. That was barbecue. You go to the western part of the state, and it is like a real sauce, but it's no different than, like, Memphis has a sauce. There's the dry rub. There's a whole variety, and people take it very seriously. I love that you blew their minds with the Jersey style barbecue sauce. I mean, crazy.
Well, hopefully when the third one comes, so the honey barbecue is for my first daughter, and then the other one is done. I just haven't got it out yet. Is a Carolina style. Using apple cider vinegar because my daughter was born in the fall. And so what do you do in the fall? You pick apples.
This is so cute. I love this, Nick.
Yeah,
this is great.
They're all tied in. And the honey barbecue sauce is because my first daughter is sweet as can be. I can't seem to get it right. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm not going to put something out that isn't the best that I can do. So I'm still working on it.
We're working on it. A work in progress. All right. Well, 74 Barbecue, Nick Mangold, I want to say thank you for joining us on The Right View. We'll check back in. We'll see how the sales of the Jersey barbecue sauce are going. I'm just kidding. I won't give you that moniker because we know that won't work. But it's so cool. I think the world of you. I think you're such a generous person, and you've always been so kind to any sort of charitable organization I know that's ever reached out to you. What a great guy. What a legend. And now you're on to the barbecue. So thanks for joining us. Good luck with everything. And we'll check back in. Let us know when we can talk about the other 2 sauces when you get the honey barbecue right, because we need to talk about that one, obviously. So
of course.
We'll be checking in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. To everybody, as always, who is listening or watching, thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. We'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View. So I'm like a lot of people. I love to wear an Apple Watch, but I hate how it looks. And I scoured the internet to search for the best looking Apple Watch cases I could find, and I found it. goldandcherry.com. They have absolutely beautiful watches, as you can see here. Everything is waterproof. Everything looks good with different outfits. You can get sporty, you can get fancy, but they are great quality, made out of Delaware in the United States of America. And they have been kind enough to give me a promo code that I can share with you if you want to get your hands on one of these as well. It's Lara T, L-A-R-A-T is the promo code to get yourself a discount at goldandcherry.com. And not only do they make Apple Watch cases, they also make great products for iPads and iPhones, keyboards, your desktop, everything you could possibly need. Goldandcherry.com. Use promo code LaraT so you can get yourself one of these today too. At The Right View, we're very proud of the fact that we are independent. We get to say everything that we think and everything that we feel. We have no woke companies guiding us or telling us what we can and cannot say. We are always going to shoot you straight and give you the facts as we know them. And that's why it's important to support independent outlets like The Right View. My name is Lara Trump, and I think Mike Lindell is a patriot. He is someone who loves this country, is willing to fight for this country. I love MyPillow because not only are MyPillows made in the USA by American workers, but they're great products, and they're so great that not only do I use them in my own bed at night, my children actually requested. My daughter the other day went to the closet and pulled out a MyPillow and said, "This is the pillow that I want to sleep with." And I gotta tell you, she loves it and will have nothing to do with any other pillow. So it's a big hit around our house. My dogs also happen to sleep on MyPillow dog beds. So all around the Trump household, we're big fans. If you go to mypillow.com today and use promo code Trump, again, promo code Trump, you will not only save money, but you will help us continue this show and other shows like it and help us continue the fight for the future of America. Inflation has impacted all of our lives. I don't think anyone can go to the gas pump or the grocery store without noticing that it is a major factor. And unfortunately, it's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going down in the way that we would like it to. And one way to protect your money is by investing in precious metals, gold and silver. That's always been a great way to make sure that you keep your money and you keep it safe. When you go to bh-pm.com, use promo code Trump. That way, if you decide you want to invest in gold and silver, you'll save yourself a little bit of money. We live in a time that's very interesting. A lot of us out there feel like a lot of our rights are slipping away. And if you're like I am and you want to have the right to choose whether or not to have a vaccine, how to live your life freely, and you're looking for a great doctor, I've heard amazing things about Dr. Sherwood. He's somebody who you should really check out and check into, and it'll help support this program and keep us going. So go to sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. Again, sherwood.tv and use promo code Trump. You can save yourself some money and help us keep our program going.